Hello, welcome to my new video on Train Easy document classification. In this video, we'll be exploring a new feature in document classification, which we call as references. So in this video, we'll be looking at how we can add, change, and remove these references when we are doing the classification while the process is running. So that is the most important part. So when we say references, this is referring to the keywords. So as we know, when you are doing the classification, we use keywords to classify a document. And in UiPath Studio, we have multiple classification methods. The very basic one is the keyword based classifier, which we provide keywords to classify the documents. And on the other side, we have the intelligent keyword classifier, which is capable of automatically identifying keywords for each different type of document. And the other one is machine learning classifier, which is used in combination with AI Center. So all three is using keywords to identify these documents. So to explain this concept better, I'm going to use the keyword based classifier, which is the most basic one. Um, so earlier what we used to do is we used to provide the keywords in the um, in the keyword based classifier. But now with this feature, instead of providing it first, we can add it while the process is running. So before getting into that, let's have a look at the workflow and the type of documents we have. So if you are not familiar with the activities we use for document understanding framework, I highly recommend you to go through the document understanding courses available in Academy and also in my YouTube channel. You have a full series there. So coming back to the very top, I have um, three different files here to process. I have two invoices of different layouts. These are sample documents which I was able to find through the internet. So we have two documents like this, and also along with that, I have another image for a purchase order. So in the workflow, let me take you through that first. I have defined the taxonomy. So in the taxonomy, I have created two groups, finance and incoming is the category. And inside that, I have the two um, types of documents. One is the invoice and the other one is the purchase order. So as you see, we have not provided any field fields here as yet because we are not doing data extraction in this video. This one will be only looking at the classification. So it is not needed for now. But in the ideal case, you can have fields as well. So we have created two types. And in the workflow, the very first one is I am getting the data or the input files from the files folder, which is available inside the same solution. The three files I showed you earlier. And then I'm doing the load taxonomy. Then to loop through the files, I'm using the for each activity for this array. And for each file, I do the digitized document. And I'm using the Omnifetch OCR for this instance. So the properties of these activities are the same as the default. I have only defined the variables here. So after digitizing, I have the classify document scope. So for this one, I'm providing the file path the document text, object model, and the taxonomy. Output is the auto-classified data, which is of classification result type array. And in this one, I'm using the keyword based classifier. So I have provided the file path for the JSON file. So it is located in here. If I open this keyword classifier, so you can see this file is empty as of now. I'm using this one because it's easy to explain and you can visually see what's happening. But the same concept applies to the other two classification methods, the intelligent keyword classifier and the machine learning classifier. So I have provided the file path, but I haven't done or provided any keywords yet. And in the configure classifiers, I have mentioned that I'll be using this keyword based classifier for classifying invoices and purchase orders. And then I have the present classification station. And after that, using the validated classification results, I'm going to train the classifier, the keyword based classifier. So I'm pointing to the same JSON file. I'm pointing to the same JSON file, but no keywords defined yet. And only thing I'm doing is I'm saying I'll be using this trainer to train the invoice and purchase orders for keyword based classifier. So why we have this trainer is actually to update the JSON file based on the references we provide. So this is the simple workflow, and let's run this and then we'll look at how we are going to use the references. So I'm going to run it, and it's going to pick the files from this location. And here we see the classification station for the first document. So as of now, I'm not going to provide any keywords. So the main thing is it is saying not classified because it is unable to figure out what type of a document it is because we haven't provided the keywords. So for now, instead of providing any references, I will just say this is going to be an invoice and save. And for this other document, I will just do the same, invoice and save. And then we get the last one for the purchase order. And I'll do purchase order and save it. So the process completed successfully. Let me enable the logs. But if we look at the JSON file, even though we said that those are invoices and purchase orders, it didn't update the JSON file because we didn't provide any references. And next time if you run, you will see the same screen. It will not know what type of document it is. But this is because we are using the keyword classifier. But if you use the intelligent keyword classifier, it will automatically pick the references based on its knowledge, and it will update the JSON file. But later you can change the keywords or the references. So let's now see how we can use uh, the keyword based classifier to add and remove references. So again, I'm not using the intelligent keyword classifier here because it's difficult to actually show what's happening. Okay, so we'll run the same thing again. And we are here now. So this time I'm going to select this as invoice And instead of giving the invoice as a reference, I will just provide another value just to show you something. So instead of using a common one, I will just use this UiPath SRL. So the good thing is you can either highlight the keywords here, just like what you see here, or else you can switch to text mode, and from there you can go to the selection mode and go for tokens, and then select the keywords that you need to include. So for this one, we'll do it in the text mode. So I'm going to select UiPath and SRL. So I have two words selected here. And how I'm going to add this as a reference is, while this is selected, I'm going to click on these three dots and say add reference. And then you can see a small icon popping up here, which also has options to highlight reference and remove reference. We'll have a look at that in a bit. So now for this document, we have given the two references and we have selected the type, and now I'm going to save this. And then here it comes to the next one. So in this one, this document does not have the UiPath SRL anywhere. That's why it doesn't know that this is also a document of the same type. So before showing this, let me quickly open the keyword classifier. So now you can see a value, which is UiPath SRL, the reference I selected. So this is how you can add references to the keyword based classifier or the intelligent keyword classifier. It's the same concept. So let's close this and try the same thing for this one. So in this one, instead of selecting invoice, I'll select the date, which means this date. So I'm going to click on this and say add reference and select this as an invoice and click on save. So let's see what happens now. So the keyword classifier will update the file. As you see, now you have two values. This is the first one and this is the second one. And it also says how many times this keyword was confirmed. As of now, it's only one. And this is the next document, which is a purchase order. But see, this is the trick. Now you can see that this purchase order has got selected as an invoice and showing as 44% confident. But how did this become an invoice? What are the references that made it become an invoice instead of a purchase order? That we can see by clicking on this small icon on top of this page and click highlight reference. So you can see a small red color line highlighting the word date. So in the previous document, I specified date as a reference for invoice, but here we have the same date in this document so that it is thinking that this is a invoice. So now how to change this? Instead of just selecting this as a purchase order, we'll also try to change this reference. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select this purchase order and click on these three dots and say, you can either remove reference or you can change the reference. So for now, I'll just do change. So if you remove, you need to add it again. So let me show you one thing as well. So I'm going to click on remove now. This remove will actually remove the reference so that this icon will also disappear. And if you want to get that back to the previous state, like undoing, you can click on discard changes. Yeah, so we'll need to confirm, and I'm going to say discard. And now you have this icon again, and I can click on highlight reference. So again, it's showing the date. Okay, so instead of date, I'm going to say use this purchase order. So I'll select change reference. And now it's changed to purchase order. And I'm also going to say this is not an invoice, it is a purchase order, and click on save. Okay, now let's have a look at the file again. So now we have the date, the previous one, UiPath SRL, and the purchase order, the third keyword. So that's the file. Now we'll have a look at the activity itself here. Keyword based classifier. If I go to manage learning, here you can see it has automatically updated itself. So instead of typing, now we can use this feature to train the model. And you can see, as you saw earlier, it will also improve your classification. So you don't need to specifically train now. If the document is tagged as a different type, at the same time, while the process is running, you can manually add the reference and then update it so that next time it will use the new keywords. So this is how it was done. The same thing applies in the other classifiers as well. But in those, you will have a lot of more data in the JSON file. So it will be very hard to track there. But still, it works. Okay, so let's run this again to see um, how it is how it is classifying the documents. And this is our first file, and it says this is an invoice, which is correct. But let's highlight the reference. You can see this is highlighted. So I don't want to use this because this is not a proper keyword to identify invoices. Invoice word is much better. So I will say just remove this reference, and I want to use this as the new reference, and I'm going to add it and say save. So in the next document, let's see what happens. So here it is identified as the invoice, and let's see what's the keyword. Now you can see it didn't identify the date as the keyword. It is highlighting invoice because I updated in the previous document. So it all applies and it all works together. This is correct. And let's click on save. And the purchase order, now it is classifying it properly because I added the purchase order reference. If I say highlight, here you go. That's how it works. So let me click on save. So this is the concept of changing, adding, and removing references. It basically helps you to improve the accuracy of the classification in the documents. Use the same concept irrespective of whether you are using the keyword based classifier or the intelligent keyword classifier or the machine learning classifier. It all works together to improve the accuracy of the classification process. So I hope this short video was helpful to understand how we can improve the classification process using the references. Try it out yourself and let's see um, how it improves your accuracy of the process. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you back again in another video. Until then, take care.